It's Trinity Sunday on Sunday. It's the Sunday traditionally where we think, my goodness, what are we going to say in our sermons? Can we find somebody else to do this particular sermon so we don't have to worry about the Holy Trinity? And part of the problem, it seems to me, with the Holy Trinity is that we try to explain the Holy Trinity. How does 3 fit into 1 and 1 fit into 3? And so we get tied up in all kinds of different analogies. So, for instance, the one I was taught at confirmation class, that water can exist in 3 states. It can be a solid as ice, it can be a liquid, it can be a vapor, but it's still the same thing. Or we might try and explain it in terms of our relationship. So, for instance, I'm a son, I'm a husband, and I'm a father. I'm the same person, but I have 3 different sets of relationships. Obviously, I've got more relationships than that, but it tries to explain it in terms of our sets of relationships. The problem with this is, firstly, they don't really reconcile the 3 in 1 thing anyway, and the 3 in 1 thing is not really what we're trying to understand. So I'd much rather think about the Holy Trinity as telling a story about divinity's relationship with creation. So the Holy Trinity is not so much a sort of accurate portrait of God, of divinity. I think if we see it in that way, we're going to be always trying to work out how it's possible. Rather, the Holy Trinity is telling the story about the divine activity in the world. So we take that ancient Hebrew word, Emmanuel, God with us, and we ask the question, what is the story of God telling us about how God is with us? So it speaks about God as creator. But I think it would be wrong to think about God as creator or creation as an event. I don't think creation is an event, and it's not a static noun type thing either. Creation is a process. Creation is something that it's not something that happened in the past, it's something that's going on, it's happening now, and it will happen tomorrow, and the next day, and so on and so forth. Things are always in a state of being created. I'm being created, you're being created, the world in itself is continuing to be in a process of creation. And then we have the idea, the story of the presence of God within us. God breathes life into the earth creature, the Adam. And the Holy Spirit, the word is ruach in Hebrew, which means breath. The same is true in Greek, pneuma, as well. So there's a sense in which God's presence within us, a participation in our lives, because we are alive. And then there is the sense in which God becomes a human in order that humans can become God. That's Athanasius. It's through the divine's participation in the creaturely that the creature can participate in divinity. And that's the story that the Trinity is trying to tell. Not always successfully, I think, but it's just a story about the participation of divinity in the creaturely, and therefore the invitation to the creature to participate in divinity, in the life of the divinity. And perhaps even further, the Holy Trinity is a kind of telling the story about how we can perhaps recognise already how divinity participates in our humanity and creatureliness, and how our creatureliness and humanity are already participating in divinity. So don't worry about 3 in 1 and 1 in 3 and how the mechanics of all that works out, because it's not trying to give you an accurate picture of God. It's telling a story about participation, the divine's participation in the creation, and the creation's participation in the divine.